Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, with our injuries healed and our buffs cleared, we're ready to bring things full circle. We're about to wrap things up here at the Electrodynamic Cenobium, but before we do that, we've got a level up in the queue, so let's run through that. And this one actually is a pretty straightforward one. Everyone gets one characteristic boost and one common talent. So we're mostly just reinforcing foundations here. Valen, for example, will boost ballistic skill. That's a no-brainer. And then as far as common talent goes, while there are several here he would benefit from, we'll just go ahead and round out perception. Sadly, we can only train each characteristic once, otherwise I just keep stacking intelligence. But we do have several abilities keyed off of perception, so still a worthwhile investment. After that, we've got Pascal, and he's already capped his two main attributes. So it's either ballistics or perception. And between the two, I'd say we'll probably go ballistics. I mean, we are going ballistics. Essentially, ballistics is accuracy over perception, which is range dodge mitigation, and while both are ultimately important for actually hitting a target, base accuracy is a little more important than dodge mitigation, because not every enemy is going to be an artful dodger. As for his talent, we'll just have him follow Valen's lead, and we'll round out his intelligence, bump that up to 60. That'll bump up all of his relevant skills, as well as his base operative abilities. After that, we've got Heinrichs, and let's be honest, we're not going to be using him often enough for this to really matter. But for the short term, we'll go ahead and round out his toughness, because why not? And then we'll grab Psi rating 1, because it turns out I forgot to grab that earlier when I was tossing him together. I really just winged it with him because, again, we're not going to be using him outside of the events where he's essentially forced on us. After that, we've got Abby, who honestly could benefit from any one of these attribute options. But given that athletics is an important exploration skill, I think we'll go ahead and round out his strength. Though this is likely to be the last time we bump it up anytime soon. As for his talent, no real question here. We'll do the same thing we did with a number of other characters and go for Stronger Together, which in his case will share +5 toughness with the rest of the squad. That'll be a nice complement for some of our other toughness boosting abilities, such as Adira's Strange Vitality talent. Though we're not quite there with her just yet. This level, we are capping her intelligence, as aforementioned. And then, as we saw in that last fight, we are starting to get to the point where our luck is running out with Veil management. So it's about time we started hedging our bets with Stabilizing Factor on Adira. That reduces the Veil degradation of her first power each turn. And then with Cassie, we'll kind of double down on that. We'll bump up her perception, just to round that out. And then we'll have her take Stable Roots. That'll help further offset the inevitable Veil degradation. It won't completely remove risks, but it will make them more manageable. Which is probably the best you can hope for when it comes to unsanctioned psychers. On we go. The Machine Alter accepts the Contact Circuit Restoration Hem. Neat. Hey, Dar Impulse the 6th. I met your grandpa. A shortish, muscular man wearing the scarlet colors of the priesthood of Mars steps into your path. The wrinkles on his cheeks and forehead point to his propensity for frequent outbursts of fierce anger. But right now, he is showing no signs of aggression. Glowing blue patterns of electric tattoos, or electus, show through the oddly bluish tinted skin. The man's eye sockets are dark and empty, yet he turns his face straight towards you with no hesitation. He has a sharp, screeching voice, not unlike a bird's cawing. May the charge of the Omnissiah's mercy persist in the hands of the faithful.
May the motive force persist in their batteries.
The Emperor protects. The man responds curtly, as if giving a military command. The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all. The hallowed electrodynamic cenobium receives you, pilgrim. I am Dar Impulse VI, the servant of the motive force and the praetor electroid of this sacred monastery. Pascal bows down humbly before the man. A trill of binaric signals comes from his vox, to which the praetor responds with a solemn gesture of blessing. Pascal turns to you and says,
The rank of praetor electroid is a sign of high standing within the electro-priest fraternity. To have been granted an audience is a great honor.
You have the honor of hosting the rogue trader of House von Valancius. I urge you to follow proper etiquette when interacting with the eminent bearer of the sacred warrant. Within these walls, worldly titles are nothing before the motive force. Your deeds, however, speak far louder than titles, for your path here is sprayed with the blood of desecrators. Just doing my part. Happy to help. So what exactly happened here? How did you and your people survive? When the heretics descended in droves upon this cenobium, we gave battle, but the unholy foes buried the Omnissiah's warriors under a mass of their bodies, thus extinguishing the defenders' sparks of purity. It was then that I ordered my few surviving brethren to retreat into the monastery's secret chambers. Upon taking refuge there, we began to destroy the blasphemous intruders in surreptitious ways. Alas, as fiery as my brethren's anger was, I had no right to permit them to die in honest combat, for the task of taking back our abode still lay ahead of us. I must commend the skill with which your secret chambers are concealed. You hear a tinge of wounded pride in Heinrich's words, as if he is upset about failing to discover the Electro-Priest shelter. Your choice of tactics was wise as well. There was no point in losing more lives in the massacre that the cultists wrought. The leader of the heretics fought her way into the Ark, wherein dwells the miraculous fusion reactor. She is trying to desecrate the rite of operation with her unholy litanies, so that the relic may be corrupted, and the world of Rykad Minoris may perish in a fount of fire. But my brethren, in their magnetic meditation, are hampering her efforts by chanting access request prayers in unison, thereby suppressing the commands that the blasphemers enter. Praetor Electroid nods towards his entranced comrades.
This holy place will be protected against sacrilegious practices. I swear it.
Yeah, me too. Though we were attacked by people that looked like electro-priests on the way in. What was that about? That was a lamentable mistake. We knew of no help that was on its way, and were not expecting to encounter any allies in the monastery's chambers. But I see that you are alive, and I mourn the senseless deaths of my brethren. I wonder if you would have so touchingly mourned the Lord Captain's death, or if such sentiments would have only been awoken by the sound of our void ship delivering a punitive strike from orbit. Easy, Abelard. What's done is done. Also, that would have blown up the planet. But he does bring up a good point. I have a void ship in orbit. I could send down a few battalions, help you retake this place. I cannot allow this. Lay people are forbidden from visiting the monastery, and only a select few are allowed to behold the Ark and the relic within.
You and your retinue are pilgrims of a special status bestowed by the Emperor. However, should any soldier unblessed by the Omnissiah cross this monastery's threshold, I will deem them a heretic and have them put to death.
You guys really want this place to explode, huh?
Confirmed. The presence of laypeople on monastery grounds without the Praetor Electroid's blessing will be regarded as a sacrilegious violation of the holy rite of operation.
That too, Pascal? Heinrichs opens his mouth for a second to say something, but changes his mind and quietly clears his throat instead. Sure, better to die protecting their lumens and coils than to accept help from unworthies. And we're left to deal with the mess, as usual. Cassia nods thoughtfully. Yes, I see. House Orsilio follows the same rules when it comes to outsiders. All right, I get it. I don't agree, but I understand. And you did make the right decision when it came to falling back and fighting from the shadows. If you hadn't, they would have already finished whatever they came here to do.
Thank you, Pilgrim. It was not easy watching unholy intruders stampede through the chambers of my temple. We all envied our brethren who had fallen before that sacrilege began.
Yeah, that's the spirit. So, Dar Impulse the Sixth. You're the one who Loja Sable came here looking for, right? Something about encrypted dreams?
Yes. Tech Brother Abel arrived here to engage in a magnetic meditation that would help clarify his visions. Unfortunately, the heretic's machinations prevented us from completing the ritual. The esteemed Logus volunteered his help in defending the monastery, but contact with him was lost soon afterwards.
Right. What can you tell me about that guy? Asking for a friend.
We did not speak much to each other. He preferred to devote his time to solitary reflections in his chapel. The Omnissiah has given Tech Brother Abel a gift of great insight, which allows him to discern each individual facet of existence rather than the overall view. This makes his logic different from that of other people. His mind has always been able to combine facts and conclusions into harmonious wholes that were nothing short of beautiful. Many among my flock found his sermons poetic.
I see. And what kind of visions was he getting exactly?
The Omnissiah's revelation was encrypted with great meticulousness, which indicates its great importance. Grasping it fully is beyond my ability, but a single touch was enough for me to realize the enormity of the secret concealed within. Or more exactly, the secret design, which was how Tech Brother Abel referred to it. His mind had discerned in the world around him traces of some grand silence that he wished to comprehend.
Interesting. Well, I'm happy to say that we saved him from the heretics. He's badly injured, but hopefully he can give us some answers once he's recovered. I'll let you know how it turns out.
I hope the Omnissiah preserves Tech Brother Abel's life, that he may continue to comprehend the mysteries he has tapped into.
Yeah. So why do you keep calling me Pilgrim? You know I'm here to rescue you, right?
Only those laypeople who desire to experience the motive force are allowed to cross this monastery's threshold. All others are profaners and criminals. You do not belong to the fraternity of electro-priests, but your intentions are good. If you were not seeking the Omnissiah's wisdom, then it was the motive force itself that brought you here to find it.
Ah, so like a religious loophole. Fair enough. You mind if I ask a few other questions while I've got you?
Truth is like light, and blocking its path is criminal.
The Praetor Electroid nods majestically. Great, well, we certainly wouldn't want that. So, let's start with you guys. Who exactly are you?
The hard-working servants and dwellers of this cenobium. Electro-priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Corpuscari did us a great honor by entrusting into our care the sacred relic around which the hallowed electrodynamic cenobium was built.
You're tech priest, clearly, so I assume you still worship the Omnissiah?
We have devoted ourselves to the worship of that aspect of the machine god, which is known as the motive force. It is the blessed divine spark that creates impetus in the universe. The Omnissiah, in his mercy, gave the world the gift of the motive force, and we follow its impulses in order to increase it, bring it to lay people, and protect it from unholy hands. The relic that this monastery protects provides the entire planet of Rykad Minoris with the blessed motive force, and we, unworthy though we are glad to serve the ancient machine that dwells within this place.
Yeah, about that. What else can you tell me about this miraculous device?
It would be pointless to describe the miraculous fusion reactor. Only through beholding its ferocious power can one comprehend its blessed essence, and fear the might of the Omnissiah. Its core was found 4,000 years ago, and delivered to Rykad Minoris by the holy warrior of faith, Locke Impulse I, during one of his campaigns. Its sacred spark has not gone out for an instant, and the walls and power units of this cenobium have been erected around the relic in order to protect it from ignorant lay people, as well as protect them from its formidable might.
Pascal keeps his solemn silence, but the quick clicking of his mechadendrite's claw betrays his excitement at being so close to the sacred archaeotech. I've got to say, you guys seem very different from the tech priests I've met in the past.
Our faith imposes a duty of obedience on us. Every electro-priest is given numerous electus that combine in a blessed Voltageist circuit, allowing feeble flesh to withstand the might of the motive force. That is why our skin glows with its light, and our eyes boil and melt when we are ordained.
Oh, lovely.
The Omnissiah's tears is what we call this phenomenon, this dying away of unworthy flesh. As we shun the layperson's primitive means of looking at the world, we gain the ability to sense the motive force around us with our entire bodies.
Right. Yeah, I guess if you're looking to tap into the motive force, it is good to make sure you have a couple of empty sockets available. Thank you. That was fascinating.
I am pleased to be the conductor of truth.
I see what you did there. I like you, Dar. You're all right. Well, we're here to save you, so we'd better get to it, before those cultists finish provoking a reaction. Just point the way.
The Ark is hidden from pilgrims' eyes, but considering the extraordinary circumstances of your visit to this monastery, I grant you that right. The hall that leads to the High Reliquary has been barred by the enemy, but I will open a secret path for you. Enter the Ark and experience the motive force, pilgrim. We will pray to the security systems that they may refrain from punishing you for your intrusion.
That would be appreciated, thanks. Also, Tier 2 dogmatic option. That's a clear warning I should really start stacking Iconoclast a bit faster. Alright, Dar, just sit tight. We'll get this taken care of.
May the charge of the Omnissiah's grace persist in the batteries of the faithful.
Yeah, you too. He seems nice. All right. Time to face the core issue. One step closer to the edge, and day's about to break. Oh, here we go. The face of the woman who stands before you is hidden behind a grotesque, barred mask. Yet the voice pouring out beneath it belongs to someone else. It is the husky, somber bass of a void wolf, a boarder of ships. How predictable your path is. How static. All the possible deaths you have skirted, only to perish here, in the fiery tempest that will mark the final dawn. The woman turns her mask to Pascal and gloats. You have arrived just in time, little cog. The schismaticals use your regalia like a mask to subdue the reactor. Pascal's vox rasps musingly.
A cog? I cannot comprehend why apostates try to insult me by comparing me to the sacred symbol of our faith. It is irrational.
His visor lights up like a crimson herald of bloodshed, and his drilling mechadendrite whirs viciously as it readies to strike.
The sacred cog grinds all corruption to dust. From the dust, I will build order.
Yeah, I don't really think we're taking this one alive. Nor should we. But we can mine for intel. Pascal, you want to announce my arrival? Pascal lets out an intimidating binaric trill and announces grimly.
With the Omnissiah's blessing, the rogue traitor von Valancius has come before the miraculous fusion reactor, seeking to perform purification and eradicate the corruption. All unauthorized persons are hereby ordered to lay down their arms and humbly accept their punishment.
Humility is the lot of the meek. I am a harbinger of great changes, and visions of the great cataclysms to come have incinerated what humility I had in my heart. The woman's voice breaks and shifts to a different pitch and timbre. A martyr's voice, young, fervent, and in pain. Time has all but run out. I can hear the fist of the future knocking on the door of the present. Choose quickly what you want to be when it walks in. A blind slave to what is gone, a faithful servant of what is to come, or a corpse. I would take some time to wrest from you the details of the future that your cult prophesies. Hopefully, when we're done, what's left of you will still be capable of coherent speech. Ah! Cassia squints and looks away. Yellows, reds, violets, oranges, blues. Wild colors that scorch the eyes. But where the motley masks end, nothing but a colorless void remains. So you must be the Lady Aurora. Different than I imagined. My name is known to you. Yes, I am Aurora, servant of Urlan the Cruel, and the spark of the final dawn that is destined to set Rykad Minoris ablaze. A great path for one who was born into the Imperium's bondage, but shunned her predestination in favor of the changes promised by the Edge of Daybreak. And who was that talking through you just now? Orlan the Cruel? Some sort of demon or just another cultist? Resounding laughter comes from behind the mask. Your flippancy is so amusing. Why, you have no inkling of the chasm that separates us. He is a prophet who foresaw our impending doom, and who graciously bestowed upon us the right to choose a different path. He is a shard of ancient wisdom, from a time before we were slaves, to our bitter predestination. If Orlan's just the prophet, then who's really in charge? The Edge of Daybreak? Is that your patron? Our teacher, our savior, our merciful God born in the immaterium out of the woes of those laboring under a legacy of ignorance and servitude. You cannot see the woman's face behind her mask, but judging by her tone of malicious triumph, you could swear she is smiling. And he remembers you, Valen von Valancius. The silly savior fantasy you have been acting out amuses the true masters of those people's fates. And what fate might that be? This final dawn you keep blathering about? What's that supposed to be? What are you lunatics even trying to do? Salvation! From a death whose name is yet unknown, but whose approach is sensed by many. Soon it will claim every inhabitant of the Coronis expanse. Do you think anyone will come to our aid when cataclysms shake our homes and planet-wide genocides are unleashed? Will the Emperor help? Or the idol of iron they call the Omnissiah? No. We will die alone and abandoned. Only one deity is promising salvation. The Edge of Daybreak. Mercy and salvation will come to all who believe in him and purify their souls in the light of the final dawn. And what's all this nonsense about servitude, predestination? Everyone born in the Imperium has a predestination. The soldier, the commoner, the administratum official, the technomat, the void rat. All are consigned to serving the Golden Throne, and then dying a grim death for its glory. The Imperium never thinks twice about treating people as exploitable and expendable. After all, they are the most easily replenished of all resources. You know, it's funny. Valen would probably have some pretty similar thoughts. That's a big part of why he became a crime lord. Even your path is predestined, rogue traitor. You will inevitably perish on your quest to expand humanity's domain, and your end will be particularly grim and ghastly. The fruits of your efforts will be enjoyed by others, the eternal aristocrats who dwell on Mars, Terra, and other safe worlds. They insist that it is the natural order of things, but that is a lie. It is an order that benefits them. I mean, she's not wrong. And what? You think burning people's eyes out will somehow help them see this? Do you think they are blind? They see far more than you do. Through reflections and mirrors blessed by the energies of the Immaterium, the Edge of Daybreak reveals to them visions of true existence, and gives them glimpses of what is to come. The eyes lie. Our erstwhile masters have taught them to see only what is consistent with the lies they tell. The gift we give is that of true sight. Okay, that's gotta be a clue. I don't know if we've seen mirrors yet, but we have definitely seen a lot of other glassware. The lenses, the shards, which, based on what Aurora is telling us, allow one to see or communicate into the Immaterium, possibly made from the tainted sand they were smelting at Rykadiphilia. That does still leave the question of what Theodora was trying to do with those shards, though. It really doesn't seem like she was part of this cult. The woman takes a glass prism out of the folds of her clothes and looks at you through it with a mocking chuckle. The prism's bluish-pink sheen imprints itself on your retinas, as though it has been burned into them. Guess what I see when I look at you? In that case, you should consider losing the eyes too, sister, because your visions are all wrong. My whispers are telling me something completely different about who dies here and how. I won't spoil the surprise, but let's just say it will come as quite a shock to you. Adira grins maliciously. I've heard enough. I understand what you're trying to do, but this is not the way to do it. This is madness. Conversations about truth always frighten ignorant minds. You know, the main reason I'm here is because your people kept singling me out, coming after me specifically. Why? Brother Twilight, known to you as Conrad, marked you as a target. Your foiling of his plan sealed your death warrant. It is now a predestined certainty that changes can no longer affect. And what, you're going to accomplish that by blowing up the reactor? I am lighting the spark of the final dawn. Sometimes the future revealed in the edge of Daybreak's visions is fragmented between the facets of possibility, and the view is unclear. I have glimpsed the importance of this place for what is to come, and I have solved the puzzle. The flash of purity will transform this world and bring it closer to the immaterium, in which it will be reborn. False believers will perish in the fire, whilst the faithful will find their salvation and their new form in it.
You will never tame the spirit of this ancient and noble machine, ignorant layperson.
It does have a vile temper, but I have assistants who can help tame it. The woman nods casually towards the maimed electro-priests, whose hands are affixed to the control panels with steel stakes. One of the servants of the Omnissiah casts a tortured glance at you, his voice trembling with horror.
Blasphemous spirits have crawled under our skin and into our sacred iron. Take the motive force out of our bodies, I implore you. We do not wish to offend the Omnissiah with the sacrileges our hands are committing.
They resisted for a long time, but now their bodies and souls belong to the schismaticals. Line after line, the scrap code they produce will awaken the reactor's unyielding spirit as well. And it, too, will yearn for change and freedom. Not if I have anything to say about it. And for the sake of Rykad Minoris and everyone on it, I do. The woman's voice becomes thin and brittle like that of an innocent child. Execute them! In the name of the Edge of Daybreak! The electro-priests rip their hands off the command panels, rending their flesh on the stakes that pierce them, as their schismatical-controlled bodies are imbued with the motive force's radiance. All the unfortunates can do is scream in horror and plead for a swift death. Aurora begins muttering an unholy litany in broken Gothic. You cannot make out her blasphemous words, but the name the heretic keeps repeating, the Edge of Daybreak, digs into your hearing like a blade into defenseless flesh. Its sound is almost physically painful. It spawns strange and impossible phantoms in your mind. However, you manage to muster your strength and banish it from your mind.
I'll make an example out of you. Surrender to the dark powers!
Oh, and of course, up goes the plot armor. Fair enough. No worries, we've got plenty of other folks to kill. But only 2 rounds to do it in, apparently. That might actually be somewhat problematic. Though we also got a clue from that one Electro Priest that killing them may forestall the impending overreaction. That said, we are clearly up against the clock, and they've already split us into 2 teams. So I guess we'll split up. Though perhaps not in this specific combination. Yeah, we'll have Cass on the heavy hitters, and we'll have Heinrichs tag along with the melee squad. Valen and Adira should have that first generator completely clear by end of round 1. Melee squad will move a bit slower, but Valen can provide range support where needed. Dude's got a 40 space effective range. Okay, here we go. Emperor Protect. Cass up first with a half turn. We'll lead with some lightning. Thin out the mooks.
Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
I figure the Electro Priest is resistant to lightning, but he will not be resistant to the spillover.
What an unfortunate turn of fate.
Alright, got him half down. That's good. Plus a 5th stray. Adira's up next for a full turn. We'll have her finish the job. Just gotta sound things out. That'll do it. Core cleared, and that buys us an extra turn. So yeah, we should be fine on time. Barring some unforeseen disaster. Alright, Heinrichs. Time to strut your stuff. Let's get you in there. Angle's not really good on the left or right. You know what? We'll just, we'll bring him up the middle. Not great, not terrible. Full burst. Okay, not bad. I mean, he's no Adira, but that wasn't awful. We'll have Abby focus on the Electro Priest. You know what, let's hedge our bets here. That should hold their attention. Valen. Ooh, nice. Fairly clean shot on Electro Priest 3.
Who, if not me?
Fingers crossed.
Another enemy down.
Nice. Cass is up. Though, we're pretty clear on this side. Aside from the guys way in back, but I doubt we can actually see them. We'll go Adira. She can still buff if she can't draw Alois. Oh, there we go. Let's lay down some cover.
Mere pain won't stop me.
Oh, so close. That's fine. We got this. Also, level up. That maxes out our base classes. Which does make sense. They clearly very deliberately timed it. So we'd just be going into our advanced archetypes as we hit Act 2. And I think I've got a pretty good idea of what we're doing once we get into that. Keep pushing. Halfway there.
Free my great masters!
Minor dings on Abby. Nothing to worry about. More mooks on the move.
I've suffered worse.
Can we get line of sight? Sure doesn't look like it. But let's try. They really need to add line of sight indicators for psychers. No worries, we'll just toss out some buffs. I think we're good on time. Thank you, Heinrichs. Oh. So the Electro Priests do actually fight. That's a slight shock. Yeah, I know, that's not much of a pun, but I ran out of electrical puns like 2 episodes ago. We need to hit a new area so I can generate something new. Oh, that's perfect. This might be over a little faster than I thought.
Let's make some opportunities.
Ah, of course. No worries. Cass is up next. We've got another shot. Her Notch of Purpose also has no LOS requirement, so let's see if we have any points left over.
I have read tomes of military tactics. I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
Priority has to be the Electro Priests.
I'll make it happen. Your end was inevitable.
Notch it up.
High momentum.
In fact, let's trim a few more.
But of course.
You'll notice we're keeping a much tighter grip on Veil Degradation this time. Those new talents already paying off. Now let's try Lifesteal. In theory, this should bounce to Abby. I'll also say that did way more damage than I thought it would. So did it actually heal? Oh, yeah. It healed Heinrichs for 2. Okay. I guess it must spill over to closest, not lowest. I'm gonna have to double check that later. Alright, let's finish this guy off. Then we'll just have the one left. Plus some mooks. Down he goes. Adira's back up. No way we get line of sight, so we'll just push up. I'm not sure these guys can actually move. The narrator did say they were staked to the consoles, but then it also said they tore free, though I suppose if they did move away from the cores, it would kind of defeat the purpose of what Aurora is trying to do. Maybe we can notch him out. I think Notch does normally ignore movement impairing effects.
I need a foothold.
Let's wipe these guys real quick. Abby, you want to take charge? Oh, you actually survived. Should have gone in X first. No worries, bud. Let me get that last one for you.
I'll see to it personally. I'll make it happen. Another enemy down.
And one last loose end. Oh, okay. They are completely unable to move. Fair enough. We'll go to him. There we go.
Activate calculated fury algorithm.
That'll do. Enough! Now an aged, rattling voice speaks to you from behind the bloodstained mask. You are powerless to halt the approach of what is to come. I see a crimson trail leading humanity to its doom. I see the glow of the final dawn, and that means existence has made its choice. A dagger flashes in Aurora's hand. She drives it into the control panel with all of her strength. Now you will see it too! A blinding voltaic arc bursts forth from the broken control panel and strikes at Aurora's uncanny mask. Its metal heats up, smoke billows through the bars. With a howl, the cultist collapses. The light is gone. Was that it? The final dawn? But why was it so different from what our teacher promised? Aurora shakes her head blindly. Her voice is now the voice of an ordinary middle-aged woman, frightened and in pain. You will pay for this. You... The woman's body goes limp and collapses to the floor. Her iron mask hits the ground with a dull thud. Pascal examines the corpse with contempt, then concludes dryly.
Confirming purgation and termination.
Heinrich grimaces in disgust. The heretic took her secrets with her. Pity. The motley hues have rejected her, leaving only a grayish-green thread. The noose that the heretic put around her own neck. I have seen this many times before. No one can escape fear itself. I said it would come as a shock to her, didn't I? Her eyes literally sparkled with astonishment. Adira's smug grin gives way to an expression of concern. That said, my friends from behind the door won't calm down. They keep sneering and guffawing, as if the joke's on us, and not her. Heinrich approaches Aurora's body and leans over it. A minute, please, Valen. I need no more than a minute. The cogitator is probably well beyond repair, but your attention is drawn away from the sacred machine and toward the dagger sticking out of the control panel. On closer inspection, it turns out to be the lavishly decorated handguard of a sword, whose blade has been pried out. Its pommel is decorated with a strange adornment resembling an eye, covered by a scaled lid. What remains of the blade has a blue sheen to it, the same tint as Conrad's weapon during the mutiny on your void ship. This is no human-made object. It was grown from wraithbone, a material favored by the Aldari. Interesting. I'm not sure I've ever made that check before. As you lean over the shard, you suddenly hear a multitude of voices. They blend together, and individual words are distorted, as though they are mocking your attempts to grasp their meaning. The nagging whisper is like the burning red scratch of an unholy claw upon your mind. Alright, you know what? I like to imagine that Valen is a little chaos curious, but I feel like, based on what we've observed here and leading up to here, we probably know better than to take that thing, even if we do have one fragment of it already. Not to mention we've already got one too many voices in our head as is. Really don't need more. That said, I don't think we'll trust Heinrichs with it either. As you touch the handguard, an otherworldly cold envelops your hand. Only for a mere instant, as in the very next second you send the corrupted weapon flying into the shining abyss. The terrible wail of several dozen voices pierces your mind for a moment, only to turn into a deafening shriek and break off as a clap of electricity is heard somewhere beneath your feet. What was that? Heinrichs appears behind you. Did you think it was a good idea to throw something into the reactor? I'd refrain from such experiments if I were you. Rogue Trader, on behalf of the Holy Ordos, I thank you for your cooperation and release you from requisition. From this moment on, I am at your service. I am ready to come aboard your ship and head for Footfall as soon as you deem it possible. That is, if you do not have other business in this system, in which case I am prepared to assist you in its prompt resolution. Yeah, I think I'm okay, but thanks. Just gotta check something real quick. The iron helmet is firmly attached to the heretic's flesh. Her face is impossible to make out in the darkness behind the bars of her mask. But after peering at it for a little longer than necessary, you wonder if, for a moment, you saw something move. Alright, people, we're not done yet. Let's keep moving.
Executing. Let the Omnissiah-given motive force flow, and all obstacles in its path be eradicated.
And all's well that ends well? Though, considering this is Act 1 of 5, I have my doubts.
Rise to the top or get left in the dust.
That said, we are past time, so this feels like a good place to call it. The reactor is secured, the electrodynamic Cenobium, theoretically, safe. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, figure out what we're doing with these level ups, and we will pick up here next time as we finish acting out. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, V23, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you can even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Surrender to the dark powers!